What is up? In today's video, we're going to be going over the Dirtbike Hitch Carrier from Black Widow. We have behind us is going to be the Dirtbike Hitch Carrier from Black Widows. We picked this up from Discount Ramps. It cost around $240 with shipping, taxes, and everything once it was said and done and arriving at our door. The Dirtbike Hitch Carrier is rated up to 400 pounds maximum. So if you have a heavier motorcycle, you are going to want to look for something else. If you have a sports bike or even a lighter cruiser, they do make some hitch carriers that are rated for a much higher load rating, but this one is not going to be the case. So be sure and check out. Everything you're gonna need is gonna come within the box. You're gonna have to do some assembly, but it's fairly straightforward. If you wanna have it mirrored with how they have it on Black Widow's website or on Discount Ramps, that you want the loading ramp behind it, just remember that you are gonna have to have the mounting holes for that ramp facing the rear of the hitch carrier. Basically, you wanna have those holes facing the van. It took us 2 tries because we had the ramp on the front at first, and when we looked at the handout as well as what they had on their website, we saw the ramp was near the back, and I did like the way that looked because that way it's dirt bike and then the ramp. For our situation, we did have to get a hitch extender for our dirt bike because the way our van has the rear facing window directly up versus some other vehicles where they have a little bit of a curve inward back towards the driver or the front of the vehicle, that our right handlebar was close, I mean really close to our rear window, that if we were to have a sudden brake and the bike leaned forward a little bit, that handguard would have hit and made contact with our rear window, possibly breaking it, especially with some of the roads that we have here in North Austin. That's going to be 100% positive. So we got a hitch extender from Harbor Freight. It was an additional $30. They didn't have the one that we were looking for, so we had to spend an extra $10 when we got the dual hitch extender, but it works. It gives us an extra place to strap down if we want to, but we are good to go with just these 2 simple straps. We have a homemade strap with an assortment of small parts from our local hardware store. We have a wishbone, we have a couple locking carabiners, a U-bolt, and then just a small little metal spacer, and then just a small little piece of metal. That does a great job, but for additional sense of security and safety measure, we have a strap that comes to this O-ring that we purchased off Amazon that hooks up to our lower triple tree. And that way, if one gives out, we have the second. And good thing we did, because the other day we were testing some carabiners. They weren't of the appropriate strength, but we wanted to try them. And thankfully we had the strap, because again, the road that I currently frequent up here in North Austin up by Cedar Park, there's a lot of potholes. They're doing so much construction and they left a lot of imperfections in the road. So that's a great way to test any setup that you have. And we do frequently that. It's like, oh, let me go to the grocery store. We'll run down that road. And sure enough, by the time we get to the grocery store, because the back carabiner had given out where it broke, and the rear strap, even though it wasn't 100% tight, it still had the bike get caught where it was leaning, but thankfully it didn't fall. All right, so now what we're gonna do is remove the loading ramp, which secures with some wing nuts. So that way you don't need a tool, but you can always add something that you would prefer. And one of the things that we did was we added some Gorilla tape, but just basically only removed one side. That way we have a little bit of a padding, because this thing rattles on the hitch carrier mount pretty loud. I can hear it inside the vehicle. And so what you're going to do after is you're going to have this facing down where the hook's onto the back of the ramp, and where it's going to have the 400-pound rating limit visible correctly. If you have it upside down, which I thought was the case, kind of mount it and hook it in, it won't go all the way down. So you have to be able to read the appropriate rating. And then you would hook it back here. Compress the shock. We still have the one that's on the other side holding it. So we're gonna go ahead and walk around to the other side. compress the spring. Now we have it loose. Grab the front brake, don't trip over your stuff. And then you can either just push it forward and then release it back. And ours is still a little crooked, so there it is. Make sure that your ramp is still there. Double check and then drop it. Hopefully that car doesn't hit the camera. It has a little bit of a wonk to it that you can see. That's a straight section. This is the side that we hit, and this goes in towards the van. So this, you can just move over this way if you want and keep it a little more aligned, but it always kicks out that way, so it's not so straight. And we will, at some point, fix the metal. There's a little bit of a gap right here, which that also bent when we hit it. So basically what we did is we impacted this outside section right here. It bent all this. We have 2 stress cracks. They also include something that it helps secure the wobble from the Black Widow carrier system to your hitch, and that actually does a really good job. That the only part that really moves is the actual hitch, is the hitch extender, which connects to our hitch to our van. So pretty much what we did is we just grabbed this and we pulled it, is how we straightened it out. Just like that, and it did a pretty good job. We sweating good. So it's not really straight, but we're gonna just run it up there. And our rear tire isn't on there, but this isn't really too difficult, especially with it being a dirt bike. I was gonna fix that, but let's just lift it, drop it in there, and it's in there now. So what we're gonna do is actually set the back one first. And then you're just gonna compress, have it lean. Now I can just kind of lean on the dirt bike, come over here, and we're gonna compress that rear shock again to get this seated. And that's in there. Well guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Remember to check out all the links in the drop down section below, where you will find coupon codes as well as affiliate links to several pretty awesome websites, as well as a link to our Patreon.